Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon listeners. It's me Sulaiman Ben Sware coming back on Facebook Live to continue the conversations. If you bear me a minute, let me share this video and we can start the conversation. Okay, thank you very much. Today is I'm struggling. Today is Monday. Okay, today is the Monday, the 24th of February, 2022. The time is just gone 16 minutes past 4 in the afternoon in Birmingham, England. Greetings. Thank you. And the topic is about the need for us not to be silenced in order to fight against cover-up again and to prevent the less fortunate people in society or connected people in society to be victimized. And this is going to be around the saga, the central bank saga. And we are going to look at international perspective as well. We'll look at international perspective about the alternative narrative, to always have an alternative narrative. But again, it's about holding accountability. It's about holding accountability. And as I said, I'm going to cite a lot of historical events that happened in the Gambia to give the example that we need to learn from. The reason I am approaching this subject in this manner, it's for obvious reasons. We have people who will tell you, oh, you guys should wait for the investigations to finish. You guys should wait for government to respond. And I mean, because of you guys are speculating, you guys are undermining investigations, stuff like this. Some of them are genuine. Probably they don't know better. They don't understand communication. But most of them are apologies to government, or the issue we are dealing with is affecting their families. They want to silence us. They want a narrative that supports them, but they don't want other people to have a narrative. But we'll explain the importance why these people have to have a narrative, and actually to explain the natural phenomenon about society and communication. We have to understand society have been communicating in different manners, and nobody can stop that. When you suppress that, it does not stop. It's just that it's pushed to the fringe, it's pushed into a second cycle, and people keep on communicating among themselves, and there's a danger with this. That's why in constitutions there's a freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom of consent, and stuff like that, because that's what helps society to grow. We need these views to come out. Some of the views or most of the views we are not even happy with. But we need people to speak out. I mean, how unpleasant they are, obviously to limitations, but they need to get that out. If people don't speak out, how do we know what bothers them? How do we know how informed they are in order for us to inform them of what we need to inform them? We need this thing is part of what the consultations are. We need to, in society, in a country, we need to hear views that will help us to shape, I mean, how we move on. And I said for centuries, for beginning of time, civilization, whatever communication have been here, and different forms of communication. Yes, in recent times, we have the social media, which makes a difference. Which makes a difference. What difference did it make? It made it possible for people's voice to be echoed, I mean, all over, and empower people to speak out. Yes, it comes with risk, but there's nothing that would not come without risk. But we have institutions, we have government to deal with those risks. That's why we empower government. That's why we give government the mandate. We give them the resources to use those resources, the mandate, in order to work effectively to ensure we live in an environment that is free and people can express themselves and to progress. This is what we need, and this is what democracy is. And to bring it back in a nutshell is to look at the issue about silence and control and narrative. Because by an establishment, silence and control always favor the establishment, and establishment always wants silence and control. Be in European countries, be anywhere it is, that's what they want. An establishment wants that. They want to control a narrative. When we say silence, they don't want to silence everybody. They want to keep themselves, their voice, what they want to propagate to go on, but they want to silence the minority or the majority or others that have different views. And those people will be labeled. They will be labeled as leftists, extremists, every fundamentalist, whatever it is, they will label them. And while they're labeling this is to divide the people, to alienate them, so that they will have followers or people will not listen to them. But by doing this too, they are empowering some of these groups, because some of these groups are only listened to because of they've been classified. And when you classify people, you give them relevance as well. There are people who shut out conspirators or alternative views, and they will only go for the alternative view. They don't want to have the mainstream media. They don't want to have the mainstream narrative, because they already take that to be the conspiracy. Now the extreme views, those are the views they are comfortable with. Those are the views they take as critical views. Those are the views they take as progressive views. You see, that's why it's for government to think about this. Before you alienate, before you classify and everything, think of what this is going to create, for society. That's why we need to allow people to have those views, and those views can be integrated, those views can be managed, and in order for it to be part of the social change that we aspire for. But in most cases, what they do is to try to drown the anti-establishment and in order to control society. But the coming of social media have changed that. Coming of social media have changed that, and coming of social media have made social change in many forms, whether it's in any other forms to grow rapidly, to be energized, to be on steroids. We have seen, social media platforms and every form of, to the extent of, even the mainstream media now is running to social media in order to have contraction, to have listening followers. Now, if you survey anywhere, even in Gambia, how many people would get their news from a mobile phone is more than people listening from flat screen TV or tablets. And this enable things to reach out. How many people listen or take their views or news from social media platforms? I tell you, even the mainstream news we hear now, most cases we hear it on social media platform. This is why social media is just revolutionized the way we communicate. And then it's important for government to have a policy. It's important to government to have a strategy where they would engage citizens, where they would be effective in dealing with the citizens, communicating with citizens through social media as well. But what we found in Gambia or Africa is they tend to front themselves away from social media or try to label social media thinking that that's what would alienate social media. No. All the progressives are on social media. You cannot turn around to turn social media to be the boogeyman or whatever it is. I mean, what that tells people is you are afraid of something. You are afraid of taking the challenge because this is where we are. This is the future, and you have to embrace it. In social media, you have logical and illogical, and you have interest groups. You have this on social media. But remember this. Let's just take it in the Gambian sense. We had social media before, but it's not on a platform like the technology and what happened was not. It was in a human what's called it at a level. What used to happen is you go to the Bantaba. Someone would say something in the Bantaba, something very outrageous. People would take it from there. And people would take it from there to areas that they are comfortable to narrate this story. To groups. It might be about tribe. It might be about witches. It might be about extramarital affairs. It might be about something else. Now they take it to different areas. What do you call them? The forums. These are the forums we have on social media. We have different forums that entertain certain things in social media. We take it to forums. We take it to our homes. I mean to discuss these things. We share the information from one to another. What was it called? Radio Kankan. Radio Kankan. It was Radio Kankan, Radio Kankan. No one here at Radio Kankan now is social media. And everybody, even any corner in Gambia, they know what the social media is. Oh, ngamoy WhatsApp, ngamoy Facebook. They know what that means. See, it was happening. But as I said, the presence of the technology and everything make it that much powerful. Then it's the responsibility of institutions and government to be effective in working on this. Let's move on to the actual narrative. What I'm going to do here is I am going to follow the narrative as I reacted onto that narrative. And what this tells us is how we understand from the information that come out, how our opinion change, depends on the information that's updated. You see, I'm not saying it's easy. That's what government need to do in order to understand how to control a narrative. If you control information sharing, control the information, because you cannot stop social media. What you can do is the content. You create content that is plausible, content that is convincing, content that is persuasive, and get people and put facts out there and people to take that and able to share. Most people on social media, it's not that they're lying or they want to put something that's not true. No, they are putting an opinion out there. Some of them are rational opinions. Some of them are irrational. Depend on the person's background, experience, education, interest. Yes, interest groups. Some people are political. Some people are factional. Some people, they will put the information the way they want. But look, the general public or the viewers or listeners are not stupid. Yes, some people will succumb because of their interest as well. But generally, for a system to work, society to work, that's why we need government to able to be proactive in engaging citizens in order to have a narrative that where all the views are welcome, but help general public to either to have understanding. And from my take on things, you will see how some things have changed from the narrative I am giving based on the information I am receiving from the sources that are available. And be the police report, be the newspaper from Alchemy Times, and so on. But from the information I'm sharing, I am sharing my experience to give my input, a rational narrative, opinion about how things might be, or how listen, this is about debate. What is this doing? It's important because it's helping to shape a narrative. We should not leave government alone or institutions alone to shape a narrative. That is dangerous. That's why we're having this conversation, is to understand why is it important to speak out. And in order for that narrative would not be one-sided, because they will be under pressure, they will be held accountable, and then they would come out, even if they don't come out with the all truth, they will come out with something that other people can deceive. But if we are quiet, they will completely change the narrative, and we will not recognize ourselves in it. And I will give you historic facts that it's here, and especially the young people, not even young people, most people who were present then cannot remember this narrative, or did not have a narrative, or the narrative given to them was completely biased and wrong. And from what I started with is I said my observation to the central bank scandal. And from the allegations forwarded, okay, now this was the allegation forwarded from Alchemy Times. Now, let's remember this, the importance of a narrative. Now, the newspaper Alchemy Times, MK Marina, broke the news. You think if MK or any other paper did not break the news, you would hear that news. Do you know how many things are going on that you don't hear about? Because of what an alternative source did not bring it out. It's not that information is not known to the conventional source. It's not that information is not known to the mainstream media. It's not that this information is not known to the establishment. They don't want that information out. I give you an example. Technically, Gamtel is bankrupt. Have you heard any newspaper tell you technically I'm using the word technically, but I'll tell you, by all signs of things, NAWEC is bankrupt, but you will not hear it. Did you hear that there's a major scandal at the judiciary, corruption and other nepotism around that? I don't have the entire information. I don't have time to fish it out, but it's out there. It's out there. But you will not hear it from the mainstream. But how many issues, be the cocaine, be the gun petroleum, how many issues did I bring out before mainstream? Do you think mainstream did not know about it? You think the establishment did not know about these problems? No. When we start to bring it out, they try to attack us, and later on they come and try to manage the narrative. That's why it's important for people to speak out. Now, the Alchemy Times give a narrative from their point of view, what they have access to, what they want us to give us. Probably they have more, because there's something we call you shake it up. You shake it up, probably you just have a little, shake that little up, throw the cards in the air, it will come out with something. Shake it up, and something will come out. And this has happened. I'm not saying that's what they did, but I think this is something that might have happened. But they might have something more that they'll come out with later. At times you hold back. You bring something out, you hold back some of these things in order to give leg to the story, or what you call it, you give it momentum, to build the momentum and follow it up. I said, one, from the allegations forwarded, Mr. Abdou Cissé and Mr. Ansoumana Bah both know that what they all know what they were engaged on was money laundering and fake currency. From my understanding, when I look at this story, from that point of view, they both know what they're going into. From that point of view, later some of it might little bit twist, and I'll explain. I said, who is Mr. P. Cissé that deposited big money to Mr. Cissé? Is he related to Mr. Abdou Cissé, the central bank accused, passing from central bank accused in the letter of, regarding central bank? What I was saying, that in the letter written by the lawyer. Now, why is it important? This is a letter written by a lawyer. It's a law firm in the Gambia that the person is practicing law in the Gambia. It's something, they've written a letter to central bank. I made a complaint. That letter it's something authentic. We all know it was authentic, and we take it from there. Now, there was a person named in the letter that he received the money, which is Mr. PCC. They only put PCC for one reason. Why did the lawyer not mention the full name of the person? Now, I said, who is this Mr. PCC? It's an interesting person into the narrative. It's Mr. CC, because of when you write articles and you said Mr. Suare and Mr. Suare, another Mr. Suare, if they are not related, you said, you put a client, caveat it, or put a client here, no relationship. They have no relationship. But in this case, nothing was said, and I assume that these people were related. Because I know who Abdul Sise is, and I know Abdul Sise have a brother who is called Pa Sise. Sanusi Sise. I said he might be the one. Now, that was important. That's why I put it there. It will be interesting to find out what is his relationship to Abdul and what other roles he has played in this transaction. Why was he choosing to deliver the money? At this point, I am taking my cue from the letter, what the letter said. According to the letter, this is the narrative. We need to ask these questions. The reason we are intervening, we have seen it. How many scandals have come out, the fertilizer, everything else. Did we have a resolution? No. That's why we engage in order to have something to hold the narrative. It went on. I said 2, the mentioned charity organization registered is false. How can anyone be given this much financial funding without the charity being registered? Which institution or person would give out 155 million cash? I question again. I said the narrative here does not add up, because of no charity would receive funding without being registered. No charity would receive funding by that amount of money in cash. That was my observation on point 2. I said point 3, why do a banker allow that amount of cash to be brought to him without reporting the matter to the police? Because it broke money laundering law. It seems that according to the allegations, in brackets, Mr. Sise accepted the cash and asked for the bribery to facilitate money laundering or fake currency. In brackets, allegations. It's a discussion. I said, according to that letter, as they said, then it means, because if a banker would receive that money, that banker knows something is wrong here. We should not receive this money. It's money laundering. Why it was not reported to the police? I move on, because I'm running for time. The allegations, the alleged sum of money requested by Mr. Sise might be used to facilitate the transaction by bribing the other people that would be playing a part in the laundering of the fake currency. But there is no evidence provided so far. You see, I said there was no evidence provided so far. I said, according to the narrative, what is pointed out to is that money is going to be used to facilitate the transaction, knowing that the transaction was illegal. Because in one instance they said the night white men are to be paid. Why night white men to be paid is for them to look the other way, or them to facilitate what was going to happen. That means that they want to do something under the cover of darkness. Then whoever is involved knows that then what they're doing is illegal. I continue. But I said, what I said was the alleged sum of money requested by Mr. Sise, I said, might be used to facilitate the transaction by bribing the other people that would play a part in laundering of the fake currency. But there is no evidence provided so far to prove that the money he demanded was passed on to the mentioned individual. There's no evidence. Later, the police came out to say there's no evidence. I said, according to the narrative in the letter, we have not seen evidence, unless there's evidence which will be later revealed. I continue to say, Mr. Sise might be the only benefactor using his colleagues to extort money from Mr. Ba. My suspicion here at that time was that Mr. Sise, because he was the person name, because I don't imagine that someone would just name a person. without having nothing to do with it. There is something, and that bit, the connection of Mr. Cissé have to be established. The investigation have to go far. The investigation cannot just be pushed out to say that he is not involved. No, I think there's more to this. And maybe these things, and Mr. Cissé might be. You know, this is what we call advance fee scam. Advance fee scam. Probably, I'm not saying that's what happened in the case of Mr. Cissé taking part, but the allegations are looking like that he have just said that, look, Ben Suare might be involved with something, and I go and give people name. I said that Mariama, Aisatu, Ibu, and Modu are the people working with me. Now, if you give me this much, I'm going to share with these people. That does not mean that these people exist. But some of these names we know exist, and they are within the bank. And now all these things need to take place, but probably they have nothing to do with this. There's no evidence to that, and that's what is needed. I move on to explain. I said Mr. Cissé might be the only benefactor using his colleagues to extort money from Mr. Ba. That is why the case needs to be investigated by both the police and Central Bank Governance Council for both internal discipline and criminal proceedings. You see, Al-Khami Times, if they have not published this, the day the governor got this letter, the next official day, official sanctions should have happened. Investigation should have happened. The police should have been informed that particular day. The police should start a parallel investigation to look into the criminal nature of this. And the bank should look at their internal systems to see any breaches or see any complicity and to investigate every person that is named in this case. Those things should have happened. Should not have been waiting for things to break out in the media and then you spring out with a response or a reaction. This is why the news is trending. I continued here. Said from the latest article from What's on Gambia, stating that the 155 million was money left behind by Jammeh and the chemical used to clean the money that made the currency don't make any sense. I said, because What's on Gambia came out with an alternative story again to say that this money was left by Jammeh, they used chemical to clean it. I said, it doesn't make any sense. The reason I said it does not make any sense is here. I believe that is an elaborate story trying to cover up the fact of fake currency dealing. There's a lot. Why do I insist on this fake currency dealing? Because we have seen the circulation of fake currency in that country, especially the denomination of 200. You know, that's why when you have high denomination notes, you are encouraging money laundering. You are encouraging printing of fake currencies. Now, if you look at the 200 denominations and what we have found out recently and the past years is really going into circulation. The only way it goes into circulation is if it can go through the banking system and come out through the banking system. Because if it stopped at the banking system, then the circulation will stop. It must have been going on. To the extent of the people buying the groundnuts are paying up to $100,000 and $16,000 to individual farmers. And these people receive their money from banking systems. Where did they get the money from? To pay out. That's why I said it's like a fake currency. And the narrative of currency, it's to give it something else, a story to say that the money was not to be circulated, it was to be destroyed. And it does not make sense because 155 million would not be an amount annually the Gambia Central Bank would afford to take out of circulation. I don't think they print that much money. I continue to say the simple fact is if the money was meant for Jammeh, why would he need chemicals to clean the money after storage? Everybody knows how to keep money safe without it getting damaged, and there are no known chemicals that wash off dirty paper. There's no known chemicals. Now I continue to say if that amount was out there, it would have been in circulation a long time ago. If Jammeh money was out there a long time ago, it would have gone out, because after a month or two, everybody knew that Jammeh was not coming back. Now, if I have money for Jammeh that much, I would start spending it. It would have been in circulation, and I would have noticed if anything was going wrong with that money. I would not wait for months or years to come. To come out to say that the money was damaged. It does not make sense. I finished by saying, number 6, it will be interesting to find out if Mr. Bahaf has any evidence or handed over the bribe. I said it would be interesting to find out if he have any evidence to say that he gave the money, any evidence that he paid bribe. It would be interesting to find that out. If he failed to have the evidence, Mr. Cisse might not admit. I said this. If he failed to produce evidence, and in most of these scams, evidence will be rarely provided. People will be very careful to make sure they compromise themselves, because they are sophisticated, they are advanced, they know how to play people up, not to hold evidence on them. But if Mr. Ba failed to produce the evidence, then Mr. Cisse, if Mr. Cisse wasn't even involved, Mr. Cisse would deny ever getting involved in this scam. Mr. Cisse might not admit to receiving the bribe. The same goes for the 155 million without evidence. He is likely to deny receiving the money. The central bank will need external auditors to carry out the investigation and make recommendations on the banking procedures after the finding. That's why I said the central bank have a role to play, but the police have a role to play too. I came up with another update I put out something else again. I say what I note from the central bank press release. This was after the central bank brought out their press release. We went on to say the transaction does not have to. I said to the transaction does not have to take place at the bank. The central bank came out and tried to say, look, this transaction happened on a Sunday. On a Sunday, the bank does not operate. That was a lame excuse, because at that time, from the letter did not state that the money was handed over at the bank that day. No. The letter said that it was handed to Mr. P. Cisse. Mr. P. Cisse does not work at the bank. Then if it was handed to Mr. P. Cisse, it was not handed at the bank. Then it was to come out with that as a proof or evidence. I think it was very irrelevant. I continue to say, as stated in the letter, the money was delivered to Mr. P. Cisse. Did the central bank establish if Mr. P. Cisse has any relationship with their accused member of staff? This is what they need to establish. They have to, in any investigation, if anybody's wife was found murdered or a crime happened in your house, ultimately the first suspect would be the household and people relating to the household, people who have reason to visit the household, people who have reason to damage the household, people that will be suspect of doing this. That's the primary thing to do. You have to connect what we call the environment. The investigation will be the environment, be the physical, any DNA, any whatever forensic you can find, whatever you can gather from what has happened here. But again, the environment means the people that live in the house, people that interact in the house, people that visited the house. What time did they visit? Who visited last? What state was this thing? When it happened? These are the timelines, and everything needed to be established. That's why they needed first thing. People have been accused. Now try to see who is here and get what we call every stone need to be turned over in order to find the facts. I continue to say that if Mr. P. Cisse is found to have a relationship of any kind to Mr. Abdul Cisse, that will support an allegation for it to be investigated further. I did not say that it means that they committed a crime, but that will give it grounds to follow up an investigation through that channel. Mr. Ba will not just come up with such allegations without any merit to the extent of taking a lawyer. Now again, we have to look at probability. Why would someone just jump on and accuse someone? And there must be a merit, especially going to the extent of going to a lawyer. Why would a practicing lawyer, just write a letter without investigating the complaint? You say these things are things that if it's any failure, this is where the failures can be found, and that's why I said that it have merit because it have gone through a lawyer. Stay tuned on the other side of the investigation. That was the second, and there's a third post. The third post is actually connecting people and circumstances that that is going through this narrative, and this will be very important when we look at historic narratives that have happened. I said this is where the central bank investigation should start from, by the environment, establishing in that environment, in what is explained, who are the people, been named. Can we link these people? Can we link these people to any crime? These are the things that we can go through. And now I said, one, their staff accused Mr. Abdou Cissé is a brother to Mr. P. Cissé, whose full name is Pa Sanusi Cissé, who Mr. Abdou Ba alleged to have given the 155 to be handed to their staff for the transaction to be carried out. Now, that's established that these two are related, and these two are mentioned in the letter. Now, that's warrant an investigation, and to find a grounding from there on. Then I said two, Mr. Abdou Cissé and Pa Sanusi Cissé are cousin to 𝐕𝐨𝐢𝐜 Cissé, who is married to Amina Diallo of Marimo. These two are brothers. Once, because of their brothers, they have a cousin who is called 𝐕𝐨𝐜. 𝐕𝐨𝐜 Cissé is married to Aminata Diallo, who is what? That's number three. Number three, Aminata Diallo Cissé is the first lady, Fatmata Barrow's auntie and financial advisor. Not only auntie, but financial advisor. The same Aminata of Marimo Company, she was involved in the scandal of the 35 million. Now, when police investigate people, they look at your connection, and they come to the connection and find out Ben Soare have a background of criminal activity, or Ben Soare have a background of this, then that become an interest. That does not mean that Ben have committed that crime, but that will come into an interest. That's what investigations are. That's why you have to go detailed, comprehensive, in order to find all the facts and bring out a report. I said Aminata Diallo of Marimo Company was with in the scandal of 35 million Kurole. She was a board member, and when the money disappeared, she was named as part of the people that received that money or withdraw the money. Again, that's facts. Go and look at it. They admitted to that fact of it happened. And all the relationships named here are fact. Go and look at it. They are all related the way it's been explained. It continued. I said, if you remember too, the Borough property in Seattle, Washington, that's a fact. The property his son and nephew lived while studying in the US. That property was bought. The transaction, if anybody wants to investigate, go and look at their passport. Go and look at the time the property was purchased in Seattle, whether she was not in Seattle. Whether she was not in Seattle, and the role played. And the other people, we have two names that is likely on the title deed. We have two names that are likely on the title deed. And those two names are linked to Aminata Diallo of Marimo. Those two names are linked to her. And the property was bought in Seattle, and she was involved. She's a property. But not only that, another property was bought. Another property was bought in Fajara. Again, that's facts. Go and look at the lease records. That property belonged before to former External Affairs Minister in Jawara government, Amarty. That property was belonged to that family and was bought through Marimo and on behalf of the First Lady. That's a fact. That's a fact too, and can be investigated. Again, not only that, Pa Sanusi Cissé, who is mentioned in that letter, have an office. He works with 𝐕𝐴, his cousin, at Marimo's head office. You see, In investigations, these are interesting things. That doesn't mean that they took part in this crime, or the alleged crime, or the scam. But this was the narrative that needed to be looked into again, an alternative narrative to do the investigation and explain what it's all about. Let me come on to the second to the final addition to the reaction. My reaction to the police report on the central bank saga. The police made a report. The police made a report. Now, a preliminary report it is, but interesting that the police left out a lot. And if I come to historic to tell you what has happened in the Gambia, you'll understand why this is important. How many times victims, I mean, I'm not talking about recent history. Recent history, most of you would remember that in the case of Banta Keita and others, only Sirif Sise was arrested, scapegoat. And in the case of the two tons of cocaine, nobody was arrested in the Gambia, and we know why, because they are connected. You see, if there was a scapegoat, and actually we did jobs on that to protect people that would have likely been arrested to be make a scapegoat. We defended them by bringing out the information out. That was the important part of bringing that information out. And there are series of things that happen, and the police did not play their part because the police are responsible of investigating and making sure these people are prosecuted by the AG chambers. I said my reaction to the police report. Their report seems to be very one-sided. It is not adding up. Consider these observations. I said consider this observation. The report is not adding up. The preliminary report is not adding up. Even a preliminary report should have a base. You see, you have to build your investigation that this is what we are looking at. And when you share what you are looking at, what it does is it communicates to the public, for the public to in fact support your investigation by coming up, oh, actually, I've seen this. Actually, I heard about this. Actually, this thing is out there. I've seen this exhibit out there. That's how police reports should come out. It's not about the detailed report, but you broaden the report in a way that would allow people to see where you're going, but against to help without compromising your investigation. I said here, where are the people that defrauded Mr. Ba? The police report, they're saying that technically they're saying that Mr. Ba was defrauded. Mr. Ba did not even see the money. Mr. Ba didn't even, but who were those people? Mr. Ba must have given a name, that this person was the person I was working with, or this is the person who told me that he was going to give me the money, or these are the people, or this is their nationality. They are Gambians, they are Senegalese, they are Nigerians. Who are they? No. The police did not absolutely mention anything behind the scam. They pointed at Mr. Ba. That's why I said, be careful. Mr. Ba might be victimized in this. I'm not saying he is culpable. He's not only complainant. No. What is complaining is he is involved in a crime. But we will see what crime he's involved in. Whether the police are even taking him out of that crime in order to cover up the case. That's where my narrative is pointing at. I explained this. Where are the people that defrauded Mr. Ba? Who are they? What's their name or nationality? Not mentioned. These names and nationality not mentioned. Why the police did not tell us Mr. Ba was dealing with Nigerians, Gambians, Ghanaians, English, whatever, and these people are Mr. This, Mr. This, or this is the name given, so that those suspects can be known. But nothing was given. Oh, Mr. Ba, they say, no, Mr. Ba, I don't think he's mentally crazy. And we'll look at that as well. I said number 4, will Mr. Ba be that stupid to give out that amount of money without seeing evidence to the 155 million? Is Mr. Ba that stupid to give out money, bribes, to one person or whoever is giving the bribe to? Now, the police are trying to say that it's not Mr. Sisi, but whoever he's giving bribes to, or is he lying that he gave bribe and he did not give it bribes? What are they trying to say? That there's something wrong with Mr. Ba? I mean, the evidence is not supporting that. Evidence is not supporting that mentally Mr. Ba is not capable. One. Number 4. Number 5. Have they questioned the people Mr. Ba alleged to borrow money from to find out what evidence or what convinced them to lend Mr. Ba money? This will be important to determine Mr. Ba's state of mind at the time or of this transaction, and if he had mentioned other people he was working with. Again, the reason is they did not tell us that they have investigated the people Mr. Ba alleged to borrow money from. That would be interesting one. That would ascertain if those people were identified and those people said Mr. Ba took £1,000, £2,000 from me, then there's something here. Then Mr. Ba is telling true that he have taken money. Now, where he did spend the money, that will be investigated later. Now, those people too will tell you, did Mr. Ba show you any documents? Why would it be easy for Mr. Ba to obtain money from you? I mean, what pretense did Mr. Ba use? Did he explain something else to you? Because that explanation too will need to be put into context of what is happening. Did he name people? Did Mr. Ba name you other people that are with him? That so that we can put this together, because you take different statements and bring it up together so that we can, these are things that we need to, they did not tell us that they have done that investigation. That's why it's one-sided. But another thing is, this will explain if Mr. Ba was with his mental capacity composed when he was doing this. This would have determined that as well. And why, that's why this that this point was important, and it's not showing in the police report. I move forward to say this. This seems that they might be covering up the kill of the case. This seems that they might. Seems they might be covering up the kill of the case, because people that run this type of fraud do carry a lot of influence, and the state have an interest in insulating any political actors, as we have seen in other serious crimes reported in the country. You see, scams do happen. 419, you call them, I mean, advanced fee fraud, romance fraud, different kind of fraud we hear. But people that carry this are very sophisticated. They make sure they don't end up being caught, or if they're caught, they don't end up being taken to the justice system. They buy, what do they buy? They buy the police. They buy the investigators. They buy many politicians. They buy into the system in order to be insulated. That's why we need to be very careful, and when we approach this, to do it diligently. But if these people, when we look at this, we have to look at this critically. If this scam has taken place, the people that are involved will be sophisticated enough, have influence. Now, these people might influence the outcome of the investigation. This is what we should not allow. Just as the cases we have said here, and I am going to bring historic cases that happened in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, that we can relate on to understand what might be going on here, and why is it important to speak out. That's why I said, why is it important to speak out? I continue to say, by making Mr. Ba a victim of this scam, reduce the likelihood for his prosecution, as he is not likely to be charged for bribery. Now, if you fail to bring out the people, or bring out a case that there is presence of fake currency, or presence of any currency, or the people that are responsible for that. Now, if you limit the case on Mr. Ba, now, technically trying to put Mr. Ba as insane or as stupid or whatever it is. Now you put the case into Mr. Ba, and Mr. Ba reported a case that did not happen. Trying to say that the case did not happen, no money have exchanged place here from Mr. Ba to the central bank. Now you close that angle. Now what do we have here? Now is Mr. Ba been whole account to account here. Now what are you going to charge Mr. Ba? Bribery? No, because of you are saying that Mr. Ba did not bribe central bank officers. Now, if Mr. Ba did not bribe central bank officers, then you don't have a case on Mr. Ba. What you have a case on Mr. Ba is wasting police time or something else. But not to say that he have committed a crime by bribery. But because of bribery means giving money to public officers to facilitate a transaction, fees that are not lawful. Then you are discounting Mr. Ba, and Mr. Ba would not be prosecuted on these counts. What counts would it be Is the case to be covered up, case to be forgotten, or Mr. Ba be charged for a misdemeanor? Now let me continue. What it says here. Because the people he alleged bribed are not public officers and they are nowhere to be found. This might be the reason they make sure those alleged to scam Mr. Ba are not mentioned. Now, probably this is the reason why the cartel or the syndicate, we call them a syndicate in this case, are not mentioned. Is to try to cut the case, shut it, because we want to protect, insulate the central bank, which for its interest to the state, insulate because of we know what it costs if central bank is drawn into this, is to insulate political actors that might be controlled by the syndicate, is to insulate the syndicate itself because they have influence, probably they are controlling the narrative, controlling police officers and others. This might be the reason, and there's no other suspects here. It's only Mr. Ba, and you cannot charge Mr. Ba because of it's not bribery anymore, because there's no person involved in the bribery. Now, this make it possible for prosecution. To prosecute too. In a nutshell, the people in the center of the crime seems to be protected from the investigation, and Mr. Ba become a scapegoat. Easy for the case to be dropped on basis of no evidence. Mr. Ba would be called a madman, even though there is no proof to this mental incapacity. This is what is leading to in a nutshell. For the case to be dropped, there's no evidence, and to say people move on, then the syndicate continue. But I said this. He is said to be fully employed as a judicial procurement officer. From the narrative, he is fully employed as judicial procurement officer. No other advances or people have not come out. Social media, anyway, oh, I know Mr. Ba, he said fantasies, he's this, he's that. That did not come out. He is fully employed as a judicial procurement officer. And now, through the transaction, he went through a lawyer. He sat down with a lawyer. He gave his narrative to a lawyer, and the lawyer represented him by writing a letter. Now, this person cannot just be brushed off as a madman. I said the police should follow the lead to find the people that alleged scam Mr. Ba for the investigation to be concluded. These people must have an infrastructure in the country to carry out the alleged crime. These people must have an infrastructure in the country to carry out alleged crime. If they scam Mr. Ba this way, it's not an easy thing just to do. Now, if the police have gone to find these people out, what they will find is probably there are other victims, or to avoid other people become victims. But if you leave the syndicate to operate and just go for Mr. Ba and the narrative to end up with Mr. Ba being a madman or whatever, it is delusional. That's not an investigation, and that should not where its end. We should control this narrative. I said from the they must have an infrastructure to control this thing. From the houses they live in, to the people they associate with, to the financial infrastructure they might be operating, as there is likely other victims to be found too. If Mr. Ba named any other person that gave him the money or promised him the money, that person must have lived in a house, in a hotel, or somewhere else. If you go to that house or in the hotel or the compound, you might know the associate of that person, because there must be some people that witness something else, and through that you will find something else. Another thing is, the people, those people they deal with, again, there might be a financial transaction. Now, if you know the person Mr. Ba is referring to, or the people that Mr. Ba is referring to gave him the money, then these people must have used the money Mr. Ba gave them to do something else. Now, this can be only traced when you trace the people, then trace the money, chase the money, then you'll find that probably they involve other things, and then the crime syndicate can be dismantled. If you don't dismantle the infrastructure of the crime syndicate, the crime continue, then the police should do it better. Then I said, adding to this, I said we can't have the case to become another case similar to the 3-ton cocaine. Main suspect Banta Keita not to be found, and his cartel not found either. Or the case of the boat that was at Denton Bridge involved in the 2 tons of cocaine at the high seas. That case too is gone cold with no arrest, no prosecution, no cartel infrastructure dismantled. Adding the Gum Petroleum multi-million dollar scam, no prosecution, the case getting cold, so many major crimes not seriously dealt with, to conclusion. This is where we need to be careful. This is what narrative we are having. If we leave it to the police, this is the narrative we're having. It's as they are controlling a narrative, every major crime that happened will end up this way, and people will not have the answers to that crime. This is why it's important for us to, have a narrative. And something else I have not published was to give an example of how local actors can be victimized. But and I'll just leave that to bring it up into other perspective. Now, as we said, we are going to look at, this is what the narrative was with the central bank saga. It's still developing, and we're going to follow. We are waiting for the mainstream papers to find something, or the police to come with an updated report, or any other reports that we can find, and we do our analysis and we follow it through, so that a single narrative would not be the narrative. We are not going to leave the establishment who continue to cover up, who continue to victimize local people, and leave the criminal cartel or the syndicates to operate, not to dismantle. This is why the crime is continuing. We are not going to allow that. Why is this so? Now, let's look at our history. And this is one of these issues. I'll bring the issue about the Sol Samba and Matar Sarr, which happened in late 70s, about 77, 78, before 1981. Now, if you ask many Gambians, how many of you here listen to this program now know about what happened with Sol Samba and Matar Sarr? Do we have any other narrative? The narrative that is conventional, the narrative that we hear, is it conclusive? Was any investigation done in detail to report that people can rely on today as history? Yes, different people have different narratives, but this was not, there's no comprehensive report written on this case. And one thing will come out of it, and one thing stand out. And that does not do justice to Matar Sarr and his memory. That does not do justice for Sol Samba and his memory to their family. And I'll explain why. Everything will come to conclusion to say that Matar Sarr was angry for any other reasons, and other allegations I'm not going to repeat because they're not fair. And he was angry with the system, that's all. And Sol Samba was showing bravery and went to arrest him. And he shot Sol Samba, and Sol Samba, that 73. Thank you very much, Koto. 73, actually. 73. Now, this is the narrative they will tell you, which is not true. Which is not true. One, let me establish. Sol Samba did not go because of bravery to arrest Matar Sarr. Sol Samba went as a compromise, someone that knows Matar, who is a friend to Matar, trying to say, look, I will go and enforce this warrant. It was a warrant. I will get Matar to answer to the courts. He believes that for him, he has nothing to fear. He can go and appeal to Matar and get Matar to come with him so that they can go to the police. This is the reason why Sol Samba was not on general duties. Sol Samba was the aide-de-camp. He was the what people call the bodyguard. He was not a bodyguard. He was the aide-de-camp, the ADC to the president Sadauda at that moment. The next day or 2 days or so, Sol Samba was meant to travel, and he happened to be. I think the next day he was meant to travel. He happened to be he lives in Bakau, and he happened to visit a friend at that moment who was living around the depot. And he learned about this issue, and he heard that the field force was the the technical support group for the police were preparing to go and arrest Matar Sarr. He walked to the field force and explained to them, look, let me go and appeal to this man. And he was supported by 2 sub-inspectors. An arrest doesn't go like that. And if I'm right, Ndaw was one of them. Ndaw was one of them. They were not armed. Even though they learned that Matar was armed, ready to shoot anybody who comes, or kill them, and if they want to arrest him. They left and they went to, effect this arrest by negotiating and getting it. And the narrative I know is when he approached Matar, I said, don't do it, don't come, don't advance. And obviously, with the anger, sentiment, anything else, he opened a shot. And that shot, that's what killed Sol Samba. But the other 2 were not shot at. They left the scene, they obviously flee, and 1 person was shot. I don't know, I cannot remember. And this is again the poor reporting. How many shots were fired? I don't know. Probably 1. But what I am trying to establish here, it was not as a heroic act, or it was not due to them having a personal feud. No, it was actually trying to bring a reconciliation to the issue. But what was actually behind the arrest warrant? It was about business. Now Matar Sarr, a Gambian who worked in the trade, the export trade, who works in insurance, who works with merchants, merchant trader who knows the business, decided to cut out his own thing to operate. And apparently that he was, why do I say this? He was being suppressed, and this got to him, and he feel that he was, the establishment was against him, and feelings, they took him to the courts, and he feel that there was no justice served, and he decided to stand up to the system. And this is what ends up. But this narrative is a narrative. But that's from one side. What is the actually happened? We don't have that. This is one problem we have in our history. As I said, narrative will always happen. It's the responsibility of institutions, responsibility of government to make sure we have a counter narrative, or we have a report, an official version. Whoever ever is a conspiratorist, whoever hold another view, that's their view. But people can say that this is a comprehensive report. It's been looked at by a commission. It's been looked at by this is the outcome. But we did not have it. And what ensured is Matar came from an influential family, and when it came out that they don't wanna bury Matar in the Islamic way, or allowed these things, because they said he committed suicide. The family said no, and the supporters came out and said no. If Matar is not buried, nobody else will be buried here. You see, in this case, it shows that if Matar was not from an influential family, he might not even be buried properly. But he got buried in the same Muslim cemetery, not even far from Sol Samba, where Sol Samba was buried. But again, this is an example. This is an example of what can happen if we citizens are not part of a narrative. Our narrative are not incorporated. This is what will happen if institutions and government are not effective in doing the right thing, especially in the digital age, especially in the age of social media. That's why we need a proactive government that is effective. Let's go on to another one. Most people might not hear about this again. This is even more complex one. And Koto City is here. He might be able to help, just as he helped with the 1973, that the Sol Samba case happened in 1973. This is the airport robbery. Airport robbery, which might happen in 1978, 79, just before 1981. Koto City is here to if he can remember this, he will tell us. Now, The airport robbery. This is what happens. It was transfer. Money from central bank or money from the banks, let's say, let's put it that way, going through the airport to be exported. It was before Hajj. Some people say the Hajj money, but some people say, no, it's the foreign currency to be exported. And it happened, they said that as the money gets into the taken to the airport, within the airport premises, some people jump onto the vehicle and drop the vehicle and took the money away. Put the number away. Another old soul might say 1980. Yes, very close to 1980. I'm not sure which date, and I'll take it from Soul 1980. I take it from Soul 1980. I know it's very close to 1981. I have a reason to say it's close to 1981. I'll explain. Now, can you imagine that happened in the Gambia? Can you imagine that happened in the Gambia in late 70s or in 1980? You see, that's why when we say, oh, these things are happening in the Gambia, this is strange in Gambia. No, it's because of BICI. Thank you, BICI. That's why, thank you, Saul. Again, I did not say central bank. I just said the banks, because I cannot remember, because it's not documented or written. You see, because of some of us were present, though young, or connected. In fact, I don't say present, connected, because some people were present, they don't know, because we were connected in Kampekais and other places. We hear these things. The BICI. Now, this happened, and people were arrested. But the narrative is these people went to rob these things, arrested the money, and the trial happened. Now, I cannot remember the trial. I cannot remember details of the trial, but I can remember certain things because I have seen evidence of that. Okay. Some people were arrested. I think some people were tried, and some people were locked up. I cannot remember even their names. Saul might remember, Koto Sidi might remember their names, and other people will remember, and probably they will comment later. But the interesting part is, I know of 2 senior police officers who were part of the investigation, whom end up become rich after the incident. And in 1981, these 2 senior police officers built story buildings, and have money. They renovated their existing properties and built story buildings in 1981. 1981. These 2 senior officers who were part of the investigations. Where do you think they get the money from? All the rumors have it that they got the money from the highs. They got the money from the highs. And now, would you take those investigations to be credible? Would you accept the investigation those 2 senior police officers done? Yes, in those days they were inspectors. To be credible. Both of them, I don't think they are no more. I think they are gone. They're dead. I'm not going to name names. But this is how it happened. Now, that have happened in the Gambia, but that time the narrative was controlled. Remember at that time how many journalists, mainstream journalists we have, the ones we have who were critical, or the groups or movement that were critical were called what? Distractors. They were called names. The Ashantics and others who would publish something like this, who would agitate, we are called names and other things. That's why we have to respect social media too now. It's part of what will hold these people accountable. When this investigation was going on, money was handed. One of these statements was, and in fact it came through the courts, the court disallowed it, that money was handed to one of the inspectors during the investigation at Sunwin Beach. At Sunwin Beach. That's what the accuser said. The money was handed to this thing. But no, the court did not take that. But after 2 years, after 1 year, in fact, after the 81 coup, this person started to build story buildings. One of the accused. They got away with it. The less connected were punished. The connected ones, the bureaucrats, the people connected got away with it. We move on. The other things that have happened. When the case of the Agriculture Development Bank. I know some people don't even know that we used to have the word called something called Agriculture Development Bank. Something we have the Gambia Commercial Bank. Probably some people don't know we have what is called the Gambia Commercial Bank. Some people might not even know we have something called the Cooperative Union. But these things were going on and major scandals were happening. Guess what? Nobody was reporting those scandals. The people, few, the anti-establishment reporting the scandals were called rebels, were called angry people, were called jealous people, were called different names. And all these banks collapsed, all the cooperative union collapsed, and other things collapsed because of the corruption. Where were the police? The police was there, the government was there, and this thing allowed to happen. Society was there when it was happening. Because there's no accountability. The side of accountability would happen, we are not empowered. Narrative can be changed. Narrative can be changed. Narrative can be changed. And this narrative change, what will affect? People like Ascentics was taken to trials. You know, and guess what? The evidence came out from the trial. 𝐶𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐿 Sabally lost the case. 𝐶𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 Sabally was technically promoted to vice president. And we question, why did we have a coup d'etat in the Gambia? You see, this is what follow a coup d'etat. Just as when we have the 73 issue and other things happening, we had attempted 81. Yes, other factors came into it, but the domestic factors are important. Now we have all the scandals going on. We see what happened. Ascentics was victimized, and other people were victimized. These are issues that we forget about. Now, I'll give you another story that most people would not know, but some would know about this story. 1993-94, the Gambia government intercepted a printing machine for counterfeit, a very sophisticated printing machine. They got information from Interpol. What I'm just saying as I remember, and forgive me, as these stories are not documented. There are things we learn about from people and ways. Some of them might not be accurate as it is, but it's not intended to say anything that's not true. But we say it as we can remember. Now, the printing machine came from Italy, by syndicates, organized syndicate. That machine was transported to Spain. Then from Spain, it was making its way to Gambia. But from Italy, the FBI knew about this machine existence and it's coming to the Gambia. 1993-94. What happened? They informed the Gambian authorities. The machine was intercepted in the Gambia. But again, I'm not accusing anybody. But the main people were arrested, but I cannot remember what happened with them. Some of the people, someone active on social media whom I know is Lai Lemon. Koto Lai Lemon would know about this case. I don't know what happened with the people who owns this machine. Did they escape or whatever, or did they end up to trial? Whatever come out of trial, I cannot remember that. But it did happen. This machine, which was very sophisticated, was restored in Bakau Barracks, 1993-94. And why is this important? To tell you the presence. I mean, we understand about fake printing and other things, and we'll get to the other crimes. And I don't know what happened to this machine. There was a time apparently Yahya Jammeh was interested in the machine. What did he do with the machine? We don't know. Whether he was able to operate it or whatnot, we don't know. But we know that the machine was in the Gambia and it was impounded, taken to Fayar Barracks. It was safe in this Fayar Barracks. I don't know where it ended up. But at this time, other crimes were happening. In the early 90s, money doubled. People say that they can double money. Gold dealings and everything, and Gambia was a hotbed for that. Because what we remember in 1993-94, Gambia too, you know, with this diamond conflict, diamonds coming in and out and other things, it continued. Gambia was exporting diamonds and or gold and other things through the Gambia. So licenses were given and so on. But what it created was this industry of money doublers. We have, but hardly these cases will go to court. Because of what? The money doublers were working with the police. Money doublers were working with the police, very senior level, making sure the investigation, prosecution. Money doublers were working with government officers that would ensure that something happened. Money doublers were working with so-called religious leaders to ensure they are not prosecuted. But the victims will always become victims. Victims will always become victims. Let's move on. Another thing happened. The Babanding funding seesaw. We all remember Babanding funding seesaw. And there was a narrative about Babanding funding seesaw. But the entire narrative was not known to a lot of people. Babanding obviously was connected to syndicates. Babanding was connected to different syndicates. Then, until Babanding have a problem in America, trying to export the helicopters, the Vietnam era helicopters, obviously for the drug trade. He said it was doing it for humanitarian, to transport humanitarian, distribute humanitarian, whatever this thing is. And he was bribing custom officers. That's why he was arrested. But I'll tell you that Babanding was connected with syndicates, from different angles, be it the drug syndicate, body, or other syndicates. And some people would believe in that he had spiritual powers, or he was dealing with people say spiritual. Yes, he was doubling. He was doubling in spiritual things. But I don't think it have. Yes, it might have one way or the other, psychologically or what. But the main thing was the sophistication of delivering the of doing these things and connections he have. And why this? When the Babanding case happened, he was arrested in Dubai. Oh no, sorry, he was arrested in America. That's when the Dubai connection came out. Babanding and the Dubai Bank. Babanding and the Dubai Bank. That's where the connection came out. Now, the narrative that we have from the Dubai Bank, what the Dubai authorities allowed to be published or as a narrative, was completely false. Was completely different from what had happened. One, the Dubai authority don't want to accept that an African came to Dubai and sophisticatedly part of a syndicate. Babanding was not allowed. And defrauded them in that manner. Again, they were trying to insulate. I said government do try to insulate their banking system. Because if people lose confidence in their banking system, it affects their economy. At that time, Dubai was coming up. They were trying to make sure the reports don't compromise this. A narrative was on. Until I read the report from the Lloyd's Insurance Company. Lloyd's Insurance Company that insured the bank. When Lloyd's Insurance did their investigation, that's where they saw and explained especially what the narrative was and how Babanding got away with this, what role the some people played, and how the money was transported in bags and transported to Gambia and other places that he operated in. Now, this is something that happened in the mid-90s, let's say, time of Jammeh, facilitated by, obviously, Babanding coming. The first time Babanding came, he came with 2 aircraft, and Jammeh sent a delegation to inspect the aircraft, Edward Singati and others, to show Jammeh that what he have, connections. But Babanding was involved with syndicates. And I'll tell you, some of the syndicates are part of syndicates controlled by the CIA. They are not only operated by criminals. Yes, the CIA have control over some of these. That's how they do some of their operations. They operate in this mix in order to do some of the things they need to do. And this is something that Babanding profit from, and it happened. But again, now let's go for some other international ones that had happened. We remember some people will remember the Brazilian bank that was sold an airport that was never in control of any of the people that sold him. But this is the narrative that this story will give you, thinking that it's a 419 this thing. But no, the actual investigations have revealed where banking officers, central banking officers of Nigeria have played a part. It was not only, look, people to convince other people to, this thing from their, give you their money. You have to convince them in many ways. And it's not only the papers been shared. The papers been shared with the banker. Everything the banker requested in order to do the due diligence, was supplied. It was called fake because it was not authorized by the banking management, but it was done by people who understand the banking system, who were part of the banking system, in order for that multi-million dollars to be handed to him. Yes, because that's what happened. But don't be surprised. People will be surprised, say, "Oh, what that banker did." Do you know what bankers do? Most of it we don't know, because when it even happened, they covered it up because they don't want the bank to be exposed. There's another scandal in UK that called the beer. Let me give you a reference of a beer. That was in the late 80s again. Late 80s. It's a BICI bank or something like that. That collapsed. And I know of 4 Gambians, former civil servants, that had savings because of the accounts been run in those banks. The banks collapsed. In the UK here, the banking, just imagine. And even that time, the UK banking was not liberalized the way it is today. It collapsed. You'll be surprised how some of these things were allowed to happen. But the recent banking scandal in the United Kingdom and America, be the housing or be whatever, this things happened because of what? Greed. Because of what people allow it. Because of what systems allow it. Now, if we are looking at things, we should be critical with it. We cannot just allow the police to drive us in a corner of this thing and leave the investigations like that. We would not have found out things, and most of these things are covered up unless you look at other stakeholders the way they present it. Just as the Babanding case, rights, the insurers have an interest to determine not to pay because of the systems. They play the system out. Bankers, members of the bank took part in the fraud. It was not a magic that Babanding used or anything. Yeah, he might use magic to play with the minds of the people who was playing with. But it was an elaborated scam. And they fall for it. Now, we have to understand, again, it's the same thing with the cartel and cocaine. If we understand how many countries that use their own intelligence, including the CIA, including the MI5, including the Hezbollah, including the Turkish, including the Israelis, including other countries that have interest in some, not all, and they control the narco trade. They control the narco trade. You think all these cartels just operate? Look at the recent scandals happening in West Africa with the narco trade. Every narco trade scandal in West Africa today has Turkish to deal with. Turkish to deal with. Turkish to deal with. I give you another example. People talk about Rwanda. You think that Rwanda, all the investment in Rwanda is done from state resources? Do you understand how the Rwandan intelligence work? How they raise finance for most of their capital incentive projects? Do you understand the role Rwandan intelligence play in money laundering? From the conflict resources in around them to all the things around them. This is the things we should understand. We should be very critical when we look at things. It's not about speculation. Thank you. And the Malaysians come. Just look at the Malaysian scam with the former government. How many billion? I mean, these things do happen. Then let us not allow people to reduce us as Gambians, to think narrowly. Let's open it up. Let it be rational. Yes, irrational will come into it, but that's what conversation is about. And people will learn from this and educate. But if we continue, these things will continue to fail. Let me bring the latest one. Now, the North Korean connection with money laundering, North Korean connection with fake goods or counterfeit goods and currency and information. North Korean hackers. Some of us might have about Hush Puppy and others. Do you guys know Gambians who dealt with Hush Puppy? Do you know? Do you know properties in the Gambia right now that have connection to Hush Puppy? You see, people see buildings been going up. Do you know that? Some of us will be quiet. We don't go and share this. But we know people, Gambians, that today are building certain things. The money is from Hush Puppy. Yes, the case is when they deal with people like Hush Puppy, probably the $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, even they don't get to that. They're looking at the millions. And once they listen that they've closely listened. But Hush Puppy, all he does is to buy the information from the North Korean. And the North Korean give him information and support him in running the scam. Now, Hush Puppy, what he does is look at people that he can use to move money that owned by companies and other wealthy people. And that money, again, from Dubai and others, less regulated country, go to Africa and other places. Gambia and other places depend on how big the economy is. That's how they channel this money. That's what Hush Puppy does. But part of that money is paid to the North Korean intelligence agencies that use that money to go to the state. There's a lot of money circulating in the Gambia today. Dodgy money is from the North Korean and they are very good at it. When they hit the US dollar, it affects the US dollar because they are very good at the counterfeit. They are very good at the counterfeit. They use this counterfeit money to build projects in Africa that the African government would pay them good money. Money laundering. Go and look at how many monuments and other things they build in Africa. You think they only sell the labor? No. They are using these projects as money laundering as well. They are using these projects as money laundering as well. Hush Puppy and others. And most of these actors you hear, that they are scamming. They don't owe the information they scam with. They don't have what it takes to get the information. You have Russian hackers doing that. You have North Korean hackers doing that. And they are feeding their economy. Go and look at Russian hackers establishing companies that is feeding the economy of Russia today. Billions. They are holding companies to ransom. Companies are paying millions in dollars so that their information can be returned or their systems can be released. When we engage, we should make sure we allow people to express themselves. But I know, as I said, some people are just worried. They think that once we discuss about issues, it's going to prejudice the case, it's going to do this. Some people are genuine, but most people are not. They are apologists. They are supporting what is happening in the country because their families are benefiting from it. Their families are taking act in it. So this is the problem. They want to silence you to say that you are speculating. Who have the, who stop you from speculating? That's the freedom of speech. If you think it's speculation, just move on. But people know that if people are quiet, what would happen? This is even damage limitation. Things would have been worse today if some of us did not speak. It would have been worse today if some of us did not speak out. Look at even though we are speaking out day and night, every day it's a scandal, whether we know it or not. As I said, right now at the judiciary, there's a scandal of financial, there's a scandal of nepotism. I cannot talk about it because I didn't have the full details. I didn't have the time to look into it. That's why some people are suggesting we should blow inside. People can give us information. Because that's the only way they will address it. They are massaging it, they are managing it. Do they tell you that NOWEC is technically bankrupt? No. You will not hear in the mainstream media. Do they go, have you seen the mainstream media go and question the management of NOWEC, go and question the management of the minister for energy? Did they go and question the board of directors for NOWEC and ask them what is going on? How comes even water now cannot be delivered throughout the country? No. It's only when people stand up and be part of it, then we have accountability. Thank you very much, guys, and it's been a long one, but we'll catch up another day. But as I said, not time to sum up, but if you join this program late, just go from the beginning. You understand what it's about. It's about to avoid the silence. And let's continue. Let's continue. As I said, we owe it to our people, even though we are not having the results desired, but it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility. And let nobody silence you. They will silence you calling you a tribalist, and most people calling you a tribalist, they are the tribalists. They will try to silence you saying that you're diaspora and you don't know yourself. That's a lie. They fear the competition, they lack the integrity, they know that you're holding them accountable, they want to silence you. That's a lie. They try to divide us, diaspora and non-diaspora, whatever it is. They know the facts that they don't know. They'll try to silence you to say that you are anti-Senegalese or you are something else. Is a lie. It does not mean that. You have reasons, you have concerns, you are sharing that. We need to allow people to speak out. It's healthy. It's the responsibility of government institutions. That's why institutions have communication. The specialists. The government have communication specialists and a budget. Why are they not communicating well? The central bank would not have said anything to us. We would not have known anything, probably no investigation, if Alchemy did not come out with the link. It's happened everywhere. Let nobody silence you guys. Thank you very much and have a good day.